What's up everyone? In this video we're going to be installing some ditch lights on the front of my Toyota 4Runner. Truthfully, I've had the parts and everything to do this for quite a while, just haven't really got around to doing it. Yay procrastination. But with that being said, we are going to walk you guys through the install process. I'm going to show you the harness that I bought. I've used this harness before in the past with the little accent lighting that I did in the front. Was quite pleased with the harness and the way it was built. And the price point as well. So with that being said, I'm going to throw these lights on. I'm going to walk you through the process, and then I'll give you my thoughts on the overall setup. With that being said, I'll show you what I'm working with. So as mentioned, I already had these lights. I did test them to make sure they still work, but you can see that is the old connector that I just yanked off when I scrapped the Xterra. The motor blew on that car, and so I just yanked everything off the best I could and then sold it to a scrapyard. But then I got these nice powder coated brackets from Amazon. I just went with the cheapest ones out there, but really good quality, nice powder coating. And then I also got one of these harnesses. You guys have probably seen this harness before. I have another video on my channel where I did the little yellow accent lighting in the grill, and I used this harness for that setup. Now, with that being said, the lights are secondhand, so I'm not going to fault them if they fail at some point. Shortly after the install, they've been kicking around the garage for a while, but they did have a couple of years of use prior to them getting taken off. You can actually see the rust from where they were originally bolted on that vehicle. So, getting ready to get started. Got the fender cover on. I'm already midway through installing the first bracket. What I found was helpful is I was able to loosen both bolts. Then I was able to take this completely out, feed it back through the bracket, and get it somewhat snug just to keep the adjustment on the hood. I think keeping the hood props in place and also keeping that hinge completely locked will hopefully prevent it from moving too much. And then also doing this will hopefully eliminate any movement at all. But with that being said, we are almost done with getting this bracket installed. So I'll show you what that looks like. Then we'll move to the driver's side. All right, little update. Got the floodlight installed on the bracket. Got the wire, zip tied it to the washer hose. Clip the ends off to get a nice clean wire so I can attach it to the harness. And we're gonna go move over to the driver's side and do the same thing. All right, so we got the driver's side installed. As luck would have it, it wasn't as easy as the passenger side because lo and behold, the bracket was bent. I don't know if it came bent or just having it sit around in the garage for almost a year, a little over a year now. Maybe it got bent just moving it around in the garage. But stuck it in the vise, bent it back, no real issues there. And I'll show you guys what it comes out like. So like I said, we had to bend the bracket because it was hitting up on the hood. You want to leave a little bit of a gap here. Try to show you guys what I'm talking about so you can see some light through there. Because, you know, these aren't going to really move that much, but you see it has a little bit of play. You know, if you're off-roading, you don't want this thing to be smacking into the hood. At least I don't. While this is my overlanding camping rig, I also drive this thing on the pavement, so it could be a pavement princess. So I want it to look nice, all things considered. So got enough clearance around the windshield so the hood can open all the way, and then made sure the bracket is up off the hood so it's not scratching, denting that while I'm driving around. I did get the end of this one clipped off too, and then we'll go over to the workbench and I'll show you the harness. And as mentioned, guys, I used this pre-built harness once before. In fact, I'll show you guys. I used it to install the little accent lighting that you can't really see that's in the grill, and the harness works out great. Has a built-in fuse and all the good stuff that you need for a harness. This harness is also rated for fog lights or light bars, things like that. So it's got all the necessary things in it to prevent your rig from catching on fire. And that's the important thing with wiring, is I'm not a wiring expert. And so having a pre-built harness that you can modify if you need to is key. But as you can see, it literally comes with everything to make this plug and play. In fact, this harness has multiple outputs, and I actually could technically use the harness I used for those auxiliary lights, but I like those when I'm riding around on the interstate and driving around town and everything, and I could use them off-road as well as accent lighting, but I do not want them tied to the floods because I'm not going to be able to ride around town with the floodlights on, nor would I have any reason to really. So I need a separate harness. And so the good thing is with this harness is if I do decide to add more lights later on, maybe a light bar in the front, down low, or a light bar up on the top, if I add any lights at all that I can tie into these, I will have already had this harness ran, and so I'm already set up and equipped to do that, which is pretty nice. All right, guys, sorry for the sporadic filming. It's just me today, but I just got done doing my least favorite thing, which is feeding wires through the firewall. And I got to tell you, the first time I did this, it was absolutely miserable. This go around, I used a tool that I actually used on my house, which is one of those metal electrical or electrician tools that help you like feed wires through walls. And I got to tell you, this thing was a game changer. I got I think this is the Klein tool. Yeah, it's like 50 feet, but it's metal wire. And I was able to attach it to the end of my harness here. And then I was able to feed it through the firewall there. And you could see the other harness is already there. So I just used that existing hole and I actually was able to feed this through, and boom, we got our harness through the firewall. I mean, that is super easy. All right, guys, I'm going to show you the final product. I do want to show you guys the way I've done my wires, both when I did the auxiliary lights and then now the ditch lights or flood lights or whatever you want to call them up on the windshield. I try to make the wiring kind of blend into the car as much as I can, with the exception of this. I was a little disappointed. This harness and my old harness that I'd bought, even though they're exact same brand, same harness length and everything, they changed how the end connector goes to the power source. So I wasn't able to neatly route this around the battery as I had done with the other harness. So now I've got this ugly wire going across the top of my battery. So I don't like that. Probably going to switch it out at some point to maybe get like an auxiliary box, and then have the power go from that to the box, and then tie both of these into that box, and then it would give me additional power sources as well. But we'll just see. I haven't really thought about that yet, but I'm not really a big fan of this ugly wire. The ground actually came out great. And it's able to go over there. So one thought I may do is I may just cut off the end of this and extend the power cable so that it can go around the back side of the battery and look a little bit more seamless. And that'll allow me to tuck this stuff up too a little bit better. But anyways, we've got the wiring tucked up. If you look at it, I have it hidden underneath this foam trim, so there's no wires hanging down. That's on both sides. I know you can't see it on that side because of the fender cover. And then we come up over here. I've got a zip tie wrapped around the washer hose, and then it comes up to the back of the light, and it's all heat shrinked in. And then the harness I bought that I showed you guys has heat shrink around it too. And then the connection is down in the fender here. So even though it's a weather protected connection, it's also got an additional layer of coverage because it's hidden up under all the shielding in the fender. And the same is true for on the driver's side. We got it tucked up nice and neat down into the fender, and we have it like that. And so if we come around here, the other thing that I've done is I bought a light for the Raptor lights, and I'll turn those on just to show you. And I did buy a button on Amazon. I'll tell you, I went through like 3 of these buttons. The seller was great, don't get me wrong. He warrantied them out, and I was able to finally get one that worked. And so far, this has been working for well over a year now. It's kind of neat. It's got the silhouette of the 4Runner, and it tells you what they are, the little Raptor lights. I stuck with the basic harness switch for now. I may switch it out and get something like this because I do kind of like this. Just completely blends in minus the color. It's not completely correct, but it blends in pretty seamless to this panel. So I just drilled out the blank plate that's here. We flick that on. Red light tells you we got power. And you come out here and you take a look. Boom, there's one floodlight. Walk around. We got the Raptor lights. And then we come over here and boom, we got the other floodlight. So that's it, guys. Quick little tutorial of how I did these lights on my 4Runner. Again, everybody's rig's going to be a little bit different. I like to keep my stuff as clean as possible. I'm going to work on a few ideas for cleaning up that because it just drives me bonkers. But if you've got an idea, or maybe you've encountered this and you've already got a solution, put it down in the comments below. I'd love to know what you guys are using. But with that, we're going to wrap this one up, and then we'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks so much for watching.